All right, let's go out to Minnesota and talk to T-Money. What's up, Tracy?
Hi, Dr. John.
What's happening?
Just working. A little nervous, but
How we doing?
well, okay. So I wrote into the show, and the question I wrote in is, how do I tell my husband I don't believe in him and I can't support his dreams? I know that sounds terrible.
I was going to say that's a hot take. Hot take.
So here's the backstory.
Okay.
We've been married for 8 years. We have 3 kids, ages 7, 6, 5. Prior to getting married, my husband was very responsible with money. He didn't have any debt. He worked full time. He always had other jobs, hobbies, things he was working on. He was busy all the time. After our first child was born, he wanted to start his own business, and I supported him with that. He's very smart. He's very skilled. He can do just about anything, plumbing, building, working on engines, basically anything with his hands.
Hold on. This is awesome because he can build things doesn't mean he can run a business, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's often like,
Doesn't
dude,
have a
I can make
education to run a business.
I am great at barbecue. I should open a barbecue restaurant. It's like, oh, those are 2 different things. Oh, boy. Okay, so he started like a mechanic shop or handyman business or something?
Landscaping business.
Landscaping. All right. And he probably just got a spreadsheet or a piece of paper and wrote down like this many lawns times this, we're going to be rich. And you were like, sweet.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. All right. Then life happened. All right. So then what?
Yeah. Well, he's a perfectionist, so everything always takes him 10 times longer than it would somebody else if he can even stay on task and finish it. Struggles with anxiety and ADHD.
I don't know anything about those 2 things, so continue.
I know you don't. And about 6 years ago, he started drinking as a way to deal with the anxiety and stress from his business.
Yeah.
I guess in my opinion, I feel like he prioritizes work over family, and I've basically been a single mom this entire time. Examples like being 2 months pregnant with our second child. I've got a 6-month-old at home, and I've got the flu. And his response is, well, I've got to go to work. Well, you're self-employed. You can't take the day off. Nope. That's the sacrifice you have to make when you start a business if you want to succeed, is you just have to work all the time, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. But currently, our situation is that we own a 15-acre fixer-upper hobby farm, and there's a lot of debt between that and his business. But now he wants to turn it into a small development. Not that he knows how to be a developer, build and sell houses on it, and I don't feel like I can support that. The appraisal came back that it's basically worth twice what we paid for it, and he thinks he can just take out more loans to pay himself. We're at the tipping point where we can't barely make the payments, and his response is to take more money out to pay the payments. All of this while he's still drinking. He's alcoholic. He can't get things done timely. He can't stay on task, and he has more anxiety because he's behind, and so he drinks more. Accuses me of not believing in him, but he's right. I don't. I don't trust him. I just don't think this is ever going to happen, and I don't know how to have this conversation with him without it sounding like an ultimatum.
I think you're at ultimatum. I think you're there.
I have. I've tried. I've been there.
Yeah, but you weren't serious. You already.
I don't know what my ultimatum is.
You tell me.
I mean, I've threatened divorce and haven't walked away. I mean,
that's the nuclear option.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all aren't addressing the core issue here. And I think the core issue here is your husband's clearly got some emotional health challenges that he hasn't dealt with. He doesn't know how to be married to a woman with 3 kids. He doesn't know how to parent 3 kids. What he does know how to do is incredible landscaping work when he shows up. And so he goes to the places where he's reinforced. He's also probably talks to a bunch of knuckleheaded dudes and watch lots of YouTube about how just take your land and flip it and roll it and flip it and take a second mortgage and then HELOC that one and then triple stamp a double stamp. And he talked to a couple of buddies and they're like, yeah, dude, yeah. And that's where he gets reinforcement.
Yep.
And then you
call
come
it
home.
YouTube University.
Do what?
I call it YouTube University.
There you go.
It's always been YouTube.
There you go. Which has some cool things. You can learn how to fix a thing at your house. And you can learn some information. But man, Michael Jordan didn't YouTube his, he was not playing then. I'm trying to think. LeBron James doesn't YouTube his nutrition stuff. He hires a nutritionist, and he doesn't YouTube his exercise program. He has a personal trainer. Guys who are successful don't YouTube the depths, right? They might YouTube how to fix a door handle. All that doesn't matter. Your husband's not on the phone with me right now. The question I have before you is, how long are you going to stay on this ride? And there are places to get off before divorce. How many of these things have you co-signed on?
Because of the state we live in, I have had to co-sign on everything.
Okay.
Even though none of it's in my name.
What if you started today saying, I will never co-sign on another thing again? Period.
I have already said that.
Okay. And if he signs your name, does he have power of attorney over you?
No.
Okay. If he signs your name, then you tell him I'm going to call the police and say you fraudulently signed my name. I'm going to call the bank. Has he done that?
No, and he wouldn't.
Okay. But this isn't about money, and this isn't about your hobby farm, and this isn't about development. This is about your marriage. I mean, hanging on by like dancing on a razor blade.
Mm-hmm.
What scares you about having that conversation? Do you think he's just going to walk out the door?
I don't do well with confrontation. I feel like anytime I try to confront him about anything, I lose the argument. Just because he gets angry and he yells, and I basically just shut down.
Okay.
So I just don't feel like I can even have the conversation. We've tried some marriage counseling. It didn't really go anywhere.
Okay.
Refuses to go back. I've talked to him about the drinking. He says, yes, it's a problem. I'll get help when? Well, when this is done, when that is done. Well, nothing's ever going to be done. And I know it's just a phrase he's using.
So you have to decide, okay, what I've done isn't working. I'm going to do something different to protect me and my 3 children because my husband has chosen not to protect them or to protect us. I'm going to stop engaging in tit for tat, back and forth conversations. Instead, I'm going to write down and I'm going to give him a copy and slide it across the table after I read it to him, not before. Otherwise, he won't listen to you. He'll just start reading and say, I can't live like this anymore. I feel incredibly unsafe. Your addiction is out of control. Your unwillingness to deal with your emotional health is out of control. And when he starts yelling, say, I'm not going to engage in a back and forth. Not today. We can later, but not today. And tell him, if you yell, I'm going to get up and leave. If you start going back and forth, I'm going to get up and leave. Will he at least listen to you if you sat down and had a conversation with him?
I don't know anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I also think he has more mental health needs than I'm aware of. And sometimes I can't tell if it's that or if it's the drinking. I can't even tell always when he's been drinking anymore. The last conversation I tried to have with him about something like this, I mean, he acted like he was psychotic, like punching walls, but he swore he hadn't been drinking. So I don't know. I don't know if there's something else there, but he won't go in and get evaluated. He says, I'm not going to pay somebody. He feels like it's the most ridiculous quote ever, but he said it's like paying for sex to go to a therapist. I'm not going to pay somebody for that.
That's a strange correlation that I wouldn't make, but that's cool. So you've probably heard me say this on the show, but whenever I'm sitting down and talking to someone like you, I always want to look at trends. And this feels like over the last 5 or 6 years, this has just continued to escalate in really unsafe direction.
Mm-hmm.
From, hey, I'm going to quit my great job and I'm going to strike out on my own, to it's not working out quite as much as I thought, and I'm incredible at my work, but I'm not a great boss, especially of myself. and I don't have the discipline, and then the nerves kick in, and the anxiety kicks in, and the scatterbrain kicks in, and trying to keep up with the call that just came in on a piece of paper, and I can't find that paper, but I'm supposed to be somewhere, all that stuff. And the one thing that shuts off those alarms is alcohol. To a few years later, now he's punching holes through walls. So my question for you is, when and where does this end? What's your line? What's your, or what? And not more importantly, but equally importantly is, what's that line for your kids?
Gosh, I don't know anymore.
You're outsourcing that to him. He doesn't get a vote right this second. I'm asking you. If you were in a classroom at your local church and a man walked in and started screaming and punching holes through walls, what would you do?
Leave. Right. Immediately.
Right. If someone had taken your home finances and made it such a precarious situation that the chances of you having a home to live in this time next year are very small, what would you do?
I've kind of already done it. We are separated right now because of the weird situation we got ourselves into with this farm, and we sold our house last year. Me and the kids are living with my mom, and he's living out at the farm by himself.
Okay.
What I have told him is that I will not move back in there until you've gotten treatment. So I'm stuck kind of in this limbo point of waiting for him to get treatment while he's finishing this house out there for us to live in. Maybe that I've told him I'm not going to move into if he doesn't get treatment.
Is he going to get treatment?
He says he's going to when the house is done.
So his wife and his 3 kids, y'all just hang on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do whatever it is I want to do whenever I want to do it. Y'all just wait at your mom's house.
Yeah, that's the current situation. And with the money as bad as it is, like I could try. I talked to a divorce lawyer, but I just feel so stuck with the money that if I were to divorce him, I'm walking away negative. I mean, we both are. I don't even know how to. I mean, I'm definitely not getting out of my mom's house at that point. Then
I don't think you're getting out of your mom's house for a long, long time. And my guess is, if I had to fast forward a year, you have 3 young kids and you had a picture of what this was going to be. You married an amazing guy who went to work and kicked butt and was there for you and those younger kids as they were starting to be born. And for a number of reasons, he has taken a totally different path. And so your picture of what was going to be is now very, very different. You never pictured yourself being a single mom with 3 kids living back with your mother. You never pictured yourself going back to work full time, which is what you're going to have to do.
Oh, I've been working full time the whole time.
Okay. All right. Good for you.
I'm the one that supports the family.
Good for you.
I have the health insurance.
Okay. You have all of the power here. You put food in his fridge. You got health insurance for him. You have all of it. And your veiled threats simply haven't worked. And I think there's a reckoning of, I got to deal with reality. He will not, he cares more about this project than he does me and the kids. Behavior is a language. He cares more about trying to figure out another scheme, or let's just say he's really sick and he simply won't go to the doctor.
That's probably my biggest fear. Like, I feel like if we could get over that hurdle,
but
maybe some of the rest of it would work out a little bit.
But you just said we.
Have the conversation.
You said we, and that's not how it works.
Right.
He has to decide. And it sounds like he's willing to lose his family before he goes and gets the help he needs. Does that sound right? Well, shoot, he already has lost you. He already moved out.
Yeah, it seems that way, yeah. He talks differently, but his actions are that.
Would he meet you in a restaurant? Not at the house, not at your mother-in-law's house, but just you two at a restaurant?
Yeah.
And just ask him, hey, I need to know what the deal is. Or put it this way, you got 30 days to go, or I'm going to have to make some different decisions. Because I need to know whether I need to get an apartment for these kids, or if we need to just make my mom's house permanent for a while, for a season, while I can save up some money. I got to figure out how bad the finances are, and we're going to need a divorce attorney's going to have to do all that for us. Or are you going to go to the doctor within the next 2 weeks? And if he gets up and walks out of the restaurant, then you know.
Right.
And if you want to be extra enabling, you can get 3 names of people who he could go see, he could call right away. But he can consider counseling prostitution all he wants, but you get to make the call.
Okay.
What do you not like about this? Something just doesn't sound right in your soul. Is it that you just haven't come to terms with the reality of the situation, or are you just holding out because you love him and you want him to come back? What is it?
It all feels like stuff I've kind of already done before. Like I've tried having the conversation. He's had appointments for counseling, for treatment multiple times that I've helped him set up, and then the day comes and he just doesn't go. He says, "No, I'm okay. I'll be sober." And then a month later, then he's not.
And well, then now he knows he doesn't have to. He knows that now. In fact, when you call, he's like, "Oh, here we go. I got to do the merry-go-round thing again."
Mm-hmm.
And then he tells you all the right things, then you leave, and he gets another month or 2 to do whatever he wants. So it seems like the choices before you are just to make peace with this cycle. This is what it is, or that you make some very clear time and date demands, for lack of better terms. And he gets to opt in or opt out. I will file on this date. I've already moved out. I've already told you have to quit being abusive. I've already told you have to stop drinking. I already told you can't take any more money out. You've already wrecked this family. And by the way, if you sell the 15 acres, if it's doubled in value and you drop the price a little bit to get it sold, y'all can get your financial situation cleared up. He's going to go from 15 acres and building his own house, and I'm going to develop all this. He's going to go to a 1-bedroom apartment, but that's the life he chose. But it looks like that's the only 2 paths ahead of you. You've done all the legwork. You've done all this stuff. You have to decide, I'm not leaving him. I'm just not. So I'm just going to be here, plodding along, giving him health insurance, doing my life. Or you're going to be very clear. Here's a piece of paper. This is what it's going to take for you. This is how I know you want to stay married to me. If not, then the attorney's going to call and we'll sell these assets and we're going to split everything up and then we're going to go our separate ways because you clearly are more invested in this life that you're fantasizing about than you are about the kids and you are about me. Whew. I don't know many men who wouldn't take their wife and their 3 kids moving out as a huge alarm, a 5-alarm fire in their home. That's just me. Thanks for the call.